which reminds me of something I marked here in from the Githas of Hazrat Nag Khan that I'd like to just interpose at this point. Yeah, he's talking about, and I'm not going to read through all these things, but I didn't provide very many of them for you, and I hope you really will study them, because there's something here at this stage that we're going through. But this I wanted to emphasize. He's talking about the effect of inhalation and exhalation on our consciousness. Urouj is the inhalation, and Nasoul is the exhalation. Inhaling is called Urouj, and exhaling is called Nasoul. And each has its particular part in the life of an individual. Breath is life, and its work is to take the condition from within to the external plane, and to take the conditions of the external plane into one's inner being. When one exhales, the condition of the inner plane is brought out. And when one inhales, the condition of the external plane is taken in. But this is the thing I emphasized that I wanted us to get. When exhaling, the harmony or inharmony of the soul is brought out. Its influence first working on one's mind, and then on the body, and then on the surroundings. So you can see, I mean, we can be sensitive to and feel the harmony or inharmony of of the condition of our soul, because our soul, in the way we understand it, is that ray of God that is individuated in us. And so we need to come to understand it. In our individuation process, all sorts of things have happened. We've formed an image of ourselves. This, what an icon calls the false self, the concept that stands for us and is often made out of a lot of our traumas and suffering that we construct a view of self, maybe of being unworthy, or maybe of being, justly angry, or whatever it is. This is something that our meditation, our work needs to take us through. And here's a real interesting way to access it. Noticing how when you're reflecting on the breath now, and what you're noticing, and what I hope you're going to journal about it, are the different kinds of levels of experience that you have with it in different circumstances. Not just when you're sitting down and doing your practice, but in the course of events and circumstances of your day. And you're feeling how the condition of the inner plane is brought out when you exhale. I mean, just look at your inner state right now, whatever it is, whatever level of ease or dis-ease we're in, and as we exhale, aren't we just expressing what is up in a certain way, what's inside of us? And at the deepest level, the condition of our soul is radiating through that breath and expressing whether it's in harmony or disharmony with itself at this juncture, or to whatever degree of it we're experiencing. When exhaling, the harmony or inharmony of the soul is brought out. Its influence first works on the mind, then on the body, and then on surroundings. When inhaling, the condition of the external plane, harmony or inharmony, are drawn into the body, and then into the mind, and then into the soul, which sets the soul either in calmness or in disturbance. We look at the news, sometimes we take in those impressions, and our soul gets disturbed. It's not unusual. to have to be disturbed by what you allow in, and by the you know, the tragedy that's in your face this week in this world in which everything is already in your face all the time. But what we're not learning is how do we deal with it. You know, what happens? I mean, when we get hit by it all the time, and we have no way of dealing with it, we just become either inured to it, and it just becomes something that's outside of us that we're viewing in a very detached way, or but it's still poisoning us in various ways. Or so we need to learn mastery of breath, and in this kind of way allows us to begin. So then if you notice, and if you can go to that place of the beauty of what the soul truly is, that you're learning and knowing in its essence, this is allows you to do this this kind of purification and clearing and allowing it to come forth. So when these external conditions, harmony or inharmony, are drawn into the body and into the mind and into the soul, it sets the soul either in calmness or in disturbance. You go to a place that's beautiful and your soul feels very tranquil, and you go to a place that's agitated. But this is, okay, what happens if you have some mastery and you go to a place where it's very agitated? Then the first level you can learn how to protect yourself so that you don't take in more than you need, and so that you can function there without being overwhelmed by what's going on. That's the first level of dealing with it. And then, you know, if you have a kind of an equilibrium in your breath, where you now have a rhythm and you have a place where you're at ease because you're self-contained within this, in the midst of this external thing that is going on, then from there you can develop an inner seeing and discernment about what the cause of pain is in this situation, what the cause of disharmony is. Now you're an active force to try and bring harmony into a situation, or to be an agent for easing the disharmony in a situation, because you're not yourself, haven't taken on. And Mrshd talked earlier about these two kinds of empathy, the one where you just take it on like a sponge and you're there with it, and the other where you can feel it and yet you have this essence which is intact and not agitated by it. And if you can achieve that, then you can bring peace. You can be a bringer of peace. You can go into very difficult situations and find a way to be a force of healing and carry yourself in a way that is authentic. So, I mean, all these things are possible if we just apply ourselves in some quite simple ways, but the key is to keep doing it, to keep remembering, to keep doing it all the time. All the time remembering throughout the day. Check in. Look into this indwelling presence that is in the breath, and notice how conditions are affecting you, and whether you need to put up a kind of a way of protecting yourself by breathing toward the one in the way that I described as that first stage of, or whether you are unconsciously in the midst of doing some simple activity, holding your breath, and why, and just to try and maintain. Just to set yourself the simple goal of maintaining a rhythm in the midst of some activity where you're resisting doing it can be a tremendous learning situation, to begin right there at the level of rhythmic breathing, which becomes automatic over time. And when it's not there, you self-correct. Now I want to go back to to what I wanted to do in the beginning from Murshid Sam. And we'll go back over here. When the breath is kept in rhythm and is refined, the magnetism which is ordinarily consumed in the activities of mind and body is preserved. There should be a balance between meditation and activity. If this is continued, one will find one's meditation even in one's everyday life, if there's a balance. And that's why, even though it's tempting just to sit here and to do practice, we try and alternate between some activity and some repose here, because we want to take this into our everyday experience and not just be able to access it when we are totally inward. One can never meditate too much, Mrshd says. But this does not mean going into one's closet. It means keeping the heart fixed on God, to keep the mind fixed on the invocation every moment, day and night, so the very breath will keep on calling toward the One. That's something to remember. If we have that as a place in us where our heart is fixed on the beloved, on God, on our ideal, on the oneness as we get it, and our mind is fixed on our thoughts, our intention is fixed on the invocation, meaning toward the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, all the qualities, the only being. I'm not separate from it. If there's something in me having being, then that's the only thing that exists, only I'm only aware of a part of it. So, but I'm part of the only being. The only being must be expressing itself through me. That is an amazing thought. To understand God sees through you, suffers through you, feels through you, awakens through you, decides to give everything up, and again and again in order to serve you in different forms. One can never meditate too much. This does not mean going into one's closet, but it means keeping the heart fixed on God, to keep the mind fixed on the invocation every moment, day and night, so the very breath will keep on calling towards the One. Then the hour will arrive sometime when the talib, which means the spiritual student, will realize their true being. And what is that true being? It is God, the only being.